Hello, everyone. It is Joseph from Iconics, and this is one of the greatest documents that we are actually putting together today. So, as I always say, this individual that we are going to be interviewing today could have valuable information, maybe a book that inspired this individual, or actually possibly a motivational comment, but always have paper and pen because you never know what you can capture. And of course, if you miss something, you can always go to Iconics Live, where you will see an array, yes, I said an array of documentaries that we have put into the library. I could not do this without my very bestest friend and slash sister from another mother. And she is Chris Sorby, coming to us from Oxford, England. And I'm going to throw it over to her right now. She's going to kind of give you a little synopsis of who we have today as a surprise.
Yeah, we do. Nice to see you, Joseph.
Nice to see you too.
And yeah, it's wonderful. Yet another Iconics documentary gem. And, you know, our guest today, this man is a self-proclaimed beauty school dropout, number one. He lives a life of relentless curiosity, innovation, and passion. As one of the first ever editorial colorists, he shot with Vogue, Harpers, and Glamour. His mantra is, what should be that is not. Here is the legend, Leland Hirsch. Hi, Leland. Welcome.
Hi, Leland.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Joseph. How are you? Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Oh, it's an honor. And I'm going to kick off with some questions. My questions might be a little bit more personal, so we get to know the real Leland better. And then Joseph probably will throw in some more professional questions. But anyway, let me kick it off with, what is the most important lesson that life has taught you so far?
Well, the most important lesson in life study is to continuously listen and continuously learn. Even now at the age I'm at now, after the career that I've had and still have, I'm constantly learning. I'm learning. My new thing is, I owned Artec, which was sold to L'Oreal in 2002, and I became an art collector. And most importantly for me, a photography collector, collecting photographs from Avedon and Penn and Helmut Newton and people I worked with at Vogue, Bazaar, and, learning about their genius and, geniuses of people who have the eye for beauty. And those are iconic eyes of beauty. Additionally, I started collecting Picasso, and you're in the UK, Damien Hirst. I'm a big fan of Damien Hirst. I have a collection of Damien Hirst paintings. And I've amassed a whole other career in collecting and had an auction at Sotheby's, my own private auction called The Beautiful Life. And that's what I've done since I sold my company. And then I started up Celeb Luxury, which was bringing back color depositing shampoos. So, my background, as many people who know me know, was that my uncle developed Revlon hair color in the 50s, and I worked in a lab. And I wanted to learn more. I went to beauty school, but I couldn't style hair. I couldn't do finger waves. Okay. I finally conquered it. Okay. But I dropped out. And, I went to work for a person who became a partner of mine, Michael Mazzi. And if you're familiar with New Best Salon, New Best & Company Salon in Manhasset, it's one of the largest salons in the world. It's 20,000 square feet, spa, beauty, and it has a separate, in the 80s, it was very ahead of its time. In the 90s and the 2000s, it has a separate adjacent color salon where 30 colorists work who only do color. And But there's a lot that went on in my life, crazy things. Putting together Hair Color USA was insane. Okay, it was a passion to bring people back together, not back together, but together, especially the manufacturers, because what I hated about the business was I had learned so much and was continuously learning and evolving. And really, at that particular time, nobody knew hair color in the 70s. No one. Okay. They kept saying it was a hair color boom, and it was like a pop. It wasn't a boom. So I said, let's make it a boom. And I got together some of the best people in the world, Annie Humphreys, Daniel Galvin, myself, and others, varying others, to work main stage, to do the creative things. They all had color departments. They were not cutters. They were colorists. And Chris, you were there. I'm sure you were there. It was about having classrooms where the manufacturers could teach how to choose color, do swatches of gray hair, not do hair in a classroom, not do creative color in the classroom. Let's see what the people who really did color all day, every day. I mean, heart surgeons don't do brain surgery. That was the thinking. And they're not dentists either. So let's get the true people like Annie, who developed 100, I don't know if it was 100, maybe 25, 30 salons throughout the world for Sassoon. And back in those days. And Daniel, who did a great job in the UK, and the Sages colorist in Paris, and just bringing people together on main stage who ran color departments, and life is dedicated to color. And they weren't the cutter. What I used to hate in the 70s was go past L'Oreal's stage, Clairol's stage, Weller's stage, everybody's stage, and it's some dude cutting hair. Where were our women was my thinking. Where was the woman in the 70s, the early 70s especially, and people in their salons did cap frostings. If they did, I could go on and on. So I don't know if this is an interview or if it's just me rapping, but back in those days, it was really, a whole different thing where women were on stage, and it was a business of women, and it didn't make any sense. And nobody understood hair color. They were all working with caps in the 70s, and it's good for the kids to hear this. There's always time for evolution. Today, there's always things to be thought of, okay? And it's never done, Just ask any great artist who paints, just ask any great photographer who photographs. They never get bored. The great ones never get bored with their work. And the great ones don't necessarily do it for money. They do it for many, many reasons. Some is self-expression. There are many things. And it's just it's a thinking of what should be and what could be that is not, that has driven me. And I really would say to all the young people out there today, in the world we're in today, it's good to be driven by passion, because passion makes a career. And you can see even that I'm 74 years old now, I'm very passionate. It never changes with me. And my uncle made hair color. I worked in the lab. I went to work in a salon. I was maybe 16 when I went to work in the salon, when I worked for him. My uncle in the lab, I was 12. I was working with the people who made the hair dyes, the dye synthesizers, to find new dyes, and worked in the salon, worked for a great colorist, one of the very first, named Lenny Schertzer. You've probably, being involved with Redken, you probably heard about Anita Schertzer. Okay?
Yep.
Amanda Hartman, her husband Lenny was my mentor, who was one of the first colorists. I always like to pay him homage. He treated me like a son. Unfortunately, he passed away. The older guys, I hate to say guys, but the colorists, he had 3 assistants. I managed to take over his following because I used to follow him with a notepad and write down every little thing in the back room and every little formula and want to know every little thing. And I was constantly fanatical over it. And the clients saw me that way. So when Lenny passed away, they all said, I'd rather have Leland than Dennis because Leland works with Lenny. And even though I was like 17 or 18, maybe 18 at the time, I had a following overnight. And the person who owned the salon eventually became my partner in business, Michael Mazzi, who is a extremely creative person. And I've worked with some of the best hairdressers.
So
You know,
I want to professionally pause you for a second, because you have got information coming out of your mouth that is making me just fascinated. But I gotta ask you this. It had, Leland, it had to have started from somewhere. So I get it that it was your uncle and maybe your dad, but how far back can you go when you really thought, like, were you forced into the business, or how far back can you go when you remember you wanting to even begin to go to hair school, whether you flunked or not? What provoked that? Like, who provoked that? Was it, what inspired you?
What didn't inspire me, I was sleeping at park benches at 15 years old, so I had to do something. You know, my parents, you know, I came from a broken home. So for all the young people that are troubled, I will tell you, you make your own hope and you make your own passion.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Right. And that's the most important lesson that life taught you. You make your hope. That's a good one.
That is a good one. That is a really good one. I want to go back though, because was it your uncle that created something about color that is history making for this documentary that we can talk about? Or was it your dad?
No, my dad wasn't in the business. My dad actually was in the restaurant business.
Okay.
Now, my uncle was one of the first makers of hair color. We're going back to the days of Lapinol. Many people, because you might know, Joseph, you might know Al Lapin, Lapinol.
Yes. Yeah.
Probably you wouldn't know. I mean, Lapinol, and I used Lapinol as a kid. And that's how I ended up Redken's developmental consultant, the first one, you know, well.
Yeah, because Lapinol and Redken, that's what I used when I was a baby hairdresser at 19. So I remember that. So that was the very first color line professionally?
No, it wasn't the very first. There were, well, the very first, well, you could say the very first was probably L'Oreal in its inception. And then probably you would say Clairol. This goes back to the 40s, not now.
Okay.
It's later, you know. And then the small companies popped up in America was Lapinol Tiara, Bazaar Tiara. Another one was Lillian Shaw. No one knows Lillian Shaw but me today. Probably that's alive. Lillian Shaw came in little bottles. Okay. So, yeah, when I was, you know, 18, 17 years old, so that's the early 60s. Those were some of the lines out, besides typically Revlon, L'Oreal, Clairol, Wella. That was it. And then you had the small companies, as I just mentioned, that were really out in New York. And you had, in those days, a very handful of colorists. There was Leslie Blanchard, if you've heard of him, probably today. I don't know if you guys even know. Leslie, he did a lot of celebrities in New York. I can't think of their names. What's her name? Who's the famous host? She does the afternoon show sometimes. What's her name again? She a big interviewer of celebrities early on. Anyway, there was her. There was Lillian Shaw. Colorists that there were a few. There was one or two in Chicago. Hair color was not evolving, you know. So one of my ideas was to bring people together because, as it's always said, it takes a village. No one person could do it, you know. The objective is not to become famous. The objective is to make famous become everybody. You know what I mean? For lack of a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
You know, today you have influencers. You could be in a small booth somewhere in America, and you can become very well known. I think that's lovely. I think it's wonderful. You know, that everybody has opportunity, and I think that it helps create more creativity, and that's a good thing.
Okay, and before I give you another question, Leland, I'm going to thank you for all of that. I'm going to ask Joseph something. Joseph, on your screen, you only see 3 of us. Is that correct? Okay, good. Thank you. So, Leland, what is it that drives you to constantly reinvent things?
What is it constantly? I listen a lot, and I look a lot, and I see a lot. Constantly looking around for inspiration, as we all look on the streets for inspiration, and we look at art as inspiration. I find everything to be inspiration. Everything. I mean, at one of the events of Heckler USA, at a party at night, we did an interplanetary galactic theme where we brought in a light show from like astronomy world, looking at Mars and Venus and the colors of that, the colors of everything. I mean, without color there is no light, and without light there is no color. So it's always looking to see the light, to see the color. He's right now and down.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love what you just said, because it's true, but I love the way you worded that just now. I love the way you worded that just now. And Chris, if I could ask this, because I find this would be fascinating right now in this day and age with all the students, with all the colored shampoos, right? A lot of the colored shampoos I find are more for gray, getting rid of the yellow. But Leland, you made a comment about something colored shampoo. Were you part of the development of something that was the first?
Well, when I was consulting to Clairol, we made the first purple shampoo, which we used FD&C dyes. Then I found direct dyes coming out of Europe that nobody used in America. And I made the first color depositing shampoo and conditioner. Yeah, that was what Art Tech was about. And we were the first. So direct dyes, there's 2 variations if you want me to talk about it. There's direct dyes which are been tested and to be used on humans. They have all the safety data packages. And then there's other direct dyes that haven't had the safety data packages. And I knew that in those days. They're used for fabrics and carpets.
Okay.
The ones that are used for humans that larger companies would use, although some larger companies bought smaller companies and had to reformulate it, okay, today we're used in this industry with carpet dyes in color depositing shampoos. But when I made it, it was made very legitimately. So I found the direct dyes, brought them to America, and made Art Tech color depositing shampoos and conditioners. And they took off hugely, made mixing bars to mix them in mixing bottles. And the commission salons went wild. And in Europe, they went wild. Tony and Guy in Europe was buying liters and mixing it in our mixing bottles. Desage was buying it in Paris. And the commission salons in the United States, many of them intercoiffure salons, were buying it. And so, yes, it was a vision. And no one, why no one was using these dyes? Because they're very expensive. Okay, as opposed to paraphenyldiamine, nitroparaffenyldiamine, the aminophenols, all the oxidative dyes, the direct dyes are very, very expensive because they went through a battery of tests and they weren't widely used. So the others I call dirty dyes. And I'd love to tell you all the companies that are using them, but I don't think it's fair to talk about other companies that use them. but they're the ones that don't come out of the hair easy. There are a lot of e-commerce companies that have no experience in hair color, cosmetic companies. I don't want to really mention names because I think it's tacky, but you know, I think that it's a big deal today because children, you know, moms want little cute little infants to have sometimes make their hair pink, and daddy comes home and oh, they're pink, and I look to see the company and the product they use, and it's a conditioner with color from a company that's using dirty dyes. And then I look on their website and they say, we don't use dye in our hair color. There's a lot of lying, a lot of deceptive marketing, and a lot of use of dirty dyes. So here's the deal. When I sold L'Oreal to, I sold Artec to L'Oreal, nothing was going on with color depositing shampoos and conditioners. Nothing was going on. Mm-hmm. There was no energy, no passion, no high deposit color depositing shampoos and conditioners on the market.
What year was that? Leland, what year was that? What year was that?
2002, I sold it to L'Oreal. So Artec was in business from 1990 to 2002, for about 11 years, 12 years, and they bought the company. And, you know, we had high deposit, direct dye, color depositing shampoos and conditioners. It's one of the reasons. We also had a brand called Texture Line with a big TEX on wrapping around the bottle. The L'Oreal loved it. It actually became an inspiration for them for one of their brands that's global, Tech the Art. We were Artec, Texture Line. It's a synergistic compatibility. So for many reasons, they bought the company, but they had bought Redken and Matrix before that, and it couldn't get the attention. There was just a lot going on for them. So I said, 17 years later, I said, a fellow you might know Andrew Bartfield. Andrew, you know, was my right arm, my right hand at Artec, and he went to L'Oreal. I got him a job at L'Oreal. He was part of it when they acquired it, and he just decided he wanted to leave L'Oreal, and he came down to Florida, and we started Artec. And you know, unfortunately, Andrew passed away, and now we started Celeb Luxury, and so we brought back our chemist who now runs the company. A lot of people who were with Artec are back working for Celeb Luxury.
Oh. And just a couple words, Celeb Luxury is what?
Color depositing shampoos and conditioners.
Got it. And that's now current and can be purchased. If any of the students listening to this want to purchase it, they can simply reach out.
Cosmoprof. Yeah. Cosmoprofit's been at Cosmoprof for 4 years.
Got it.
And just so you know, I also spent my whole life fighting diversion. With Artec, we were the least diverted product, very popular, and Celeb is extremely popular. Okay, it's used by some of the best colorists in the world. And it comes in bright colors and in natural colors. And, you know, it promotes itself. We get a good amount of publicity in Allure and other magazines. But I will tell you one thing, you won't find it on the shelves in the drugstores.
Thank you.
In the supermarket. Okay? Yeah, I could tell you, part of my vision of my life is to keep professional products professional.
Thank you.
I have another company that makes them for drugstores. They all wanted it. I could also tell you that almost every company is selling direct every product. Which don't believe professional products are professional anymore. So to you guys who are young and starting out, don't believe professional products are professional, because even though it's supposed to be professional, it's sold to the professional, I know, I'm on the inside, that a lot of them are selling them direct.
God, I
which
want to
is
highlight you. I want to highlight you if I had a highlighter right now.
And like you
well,
said, Leland, you're so active in preventing diversion and this happening, and yet it's still out there. I mean, will we ever beat that? I don't know. I really don't know.
it's a let me tell you, it's a different type of diversion today. Okay, years ago it was collectors going into salons. Okay, today it's beauty supply houses that get sold by salespeople, and the beauty supply houses put it up on Amazon, and it forced all the companies, even me, okay, who are strictly professional. If we didn't go up on Amazon, took off all the third parties, which stopped the diversion on Amazon. They guaranteed if you went on Amazon Salon and Spa that they would take off all the third party beauty supply houses all over and individuals that were putting product up on Amazon, and they do. So companies had to protect themselves to go on and had to go on Amazon because all the products were being discounted by third-party beauty supply house Amazon. So if you're selling a product for $35, they could be selling it as low as $20. And then again, you don't even know if they're diluting it with water. You don't know what anybody's capable of doing. I mean, it's so unprofessional, it's so unethical. And so a lot of my time is spent on maintaining the ethicalness of professionalism, because I'll never give up on that. Okay, one of the reasons why Artec was sold to L'Oreal, because it was the least diverted product, and it was innovative, that it was the first true hair color maintenance. When you see all these products that say color safe on them, safe from what? They're clear. They're clear, okay? Anything, is anything color safe that goes in your washing machine? Cleanser is even sulfate-free detergent. Is going to take out color. You get a great t-shirt in white with a beautiful color design, put it in, a $300, $500 shirt, put it in a washing machine, and the color gets lost right away. So hair color, clear shampoos is the biggest enemy to hair color, sulfate-free. Companies that say it's color safe is just treating us professionals like idiots. So I'm very outspoken on the subject. Okay, so, I've never been like to be treated like an idiot. Okay, if it don't contain color and it's cleansing the hair, it's removing the color. It's a fact. It's a scientific fact. I'll tell you another scientific fact. All hair color, oxidative hair color, semi-permanent, semi-permanent. I worked on the first shades EQ for Redken before L'Oreal even bought it. I was working on the technology. I can only tell you that all oxidative hair color or hair color is not stable in the hair. It changes in itself, okay, even without shampooing. So if you were to go in the hospital and you took a picture before you went in of a beautiful red or beautiful color, and you didn't wash your hair for 2 weeks, and you took another picture, and you didn't wash your hair for 2 weeks or a month, your color's not going to look the same because the dye oxidated into the hair and it's still oxidizing within the hair after it's washed out.
God, yeah.
So let me ask you, when times are hard, what or who do you reach out to?
I reach out to people I hire who work with me, okay, who are smarter than me at what they do, okay? And I have a lot of smart people in marketing. Person who runs my company, Cindy Orr, she's a chemist at Clairol. She's a chemist at Matrix. She was a chemist at, she helped me develop Artec. Then she went on to make a Veda color. She made a Veda color. And she came back to work with me when I started Celeb Luxury in 2016. And when Andrea passed away, I wanted her to run the company because she's very smart, not just being smart about chemistry, but being smart, being an analytical person. She's very organized and very smart. I have another person who comes from mass marketing, who does my marketing. Okay, she comes from mass marketing retail. Another person who is involved with Target as a marketing person. Just have a lot of smart people. I have ex-L'Oreal person, Jen Hiddle, who I adore. I don't know if you know Jen. Jen worked at L'Oreal for a time with Andrew. She is in New Hampshire. She answers questions from hairdressers on our Instagram. We have 133,000 people on our Instagram page, mostly all colorists. And, you know, we don't, you know, when I first came back with it, I don't know if you saw ads in Modern back in 2016 and my Beauty Launchpad about that I was coming back and I was holding something in my hand and it was like, guess what Leland's doing? We're going to come back with something innovative. And it's something I was working on. Some people knew what I was working on, but I didn't come back with it. You know what it was?
No.
A laser beam to highlight hair.
Wow.
No. And
I haven't figured it out yet, but
Well, that's keeping you busy.
It's still part of my life. But that's not what I came back with. When I came back with bright colors and color depositing shampoos and conditioners, and you know, the fact that, you know, I'm watching all this creativity. You know, one of the things I know that I was really instrumental creatively, if you want to know, back at Hair Color USA, you were there, was cut brushes on angle just to make a point. I had these utensils which were cut. And they really weren't about the brush. It was really about putting color on angles through the hair, putting bleach on angles, you know, less at the scalp, widening to more in the ends, mimicking nature, because the lightest blondes are not necessarily coming from the scalp out. Notice I don't say roots out, because roots are under the scalp. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So language is very important, you know, and I'm a studier of language, and it's from the scalp out. So you want the highlights to be less to more, less to more. So comes balayage, and I know a lot of creative things that you do and have inspired people, you know, come from the idea of less to more. You know what I mean? Of working in the abstract. In the days, and even myself, when I started using foil, and everybody was using a cap, and I was weaving, this is early 60s, weaving hair in and out. You have tendency to be very mechanical when you're learning. You know, all learning, and I watched some of the great cutters of the world learn mechanics, and then they soften up as time goes on after being Vidal mechanical, you know, and then they get softer. And the French have always been softer. The English have always been more mechanical. And when you do hair color, it's very easy to, when you're starting out new at it, to be mechanical. And I find myself saying, wow, this stripe bullshit is ridiculous. You know what I mean? And, you know, this little tiny spaghetti highlights are ridiculous. You know? So then I had to figure out what God does. So I started looking at all the little kids, and their hair were white. But then I went over to kids on the beach. They thought I was crazy. And I said, can I see your hair? You know, and it was all deeper down in hair, in here. And I said, I got to do that. I got to do that. So inspiration is a continuous evolution. Okay. And look at your hair. It's a whole different thing. You know, your hair, I love it. Okay. But you know what it was called at one time in the South? Skunking.
Well, actually,
but no one knew.
color.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? when knowledge was not there was when there was no knowledge and you used dark with light back in the South,
Yeah.
they call it skunking. I mean,
Something.
you know, unfortunately, I mean, flipping your heck up.
No, I do remember very, very much so. Yeah. Of
Very, very, very interesting. You know, I want, if I can interrupt, Chris,
course.
I believe that all of us as artists, the three of us, have been behind the camera so often in our career where our work has been shown, and we all have such knowledge with photography. I mean, I think we can all agree to that, right? So when it comes to painting, Leland, you know, Chris's husband is an amazing artist. And I, of course, have taken to painting myself, which is inspired by my color mixing and my color. And how does this fit in with you? I mean, are you still actively coloring hair, or are you just where are you at with that? Because obviously you collect art that's got to inspire you for what you're using now, or give me some feedback on that.
Well, I'm not coloring hair, you know, but I love to work with people who do, you know, who I try to get inspiration from them today and give them inspiration back. And always to think in the abstract when doing something natural, but when doing something unnatural, let it go, you know, go all out. As far as artists go, I'm trying to answer your question. Being in the UK and your husband's into art, Chris, you know,
a painter and a documentary filmmaker, as well as many other creative things. He's a cartoonist. He does caricatures. He's pretty brilliant. I'm surprised you haven't bought one of his pieces.
Well, send me them. I want to see. I'd like to see him. My favorite in the UK is Damien Hirst, but you know, the last 4 years I haven't really bought anything. I have one of the pictures I think you used was me behind a spin painting that you guys used on your website to show this particular show sitting behind me. That's a very unusual one. That was at a charity auction, and I way overpaid for it because I love the charity. Okay, I don't want to talk about money, but it was a huge amount of money. You know, listen, I'm very blessed. My visions, my ideas. You know, I sold the company to L'Oreal. You know, for the highest times multiples at the time, and decided I needed to take a rest after Hair Color USA and Artec. And so I took that 17-year, what I call an artistic sabbatical, and I went to Basel. I also own a lot of Chinese art. Zhang Shigang, Wang Gaihe. Zhang Shigang is one of the great Chinese artists, big families. Your husband probably knows it very well. Big families. So I started buying Asian art. If I took you to the tour of my home, you'll see a lot of Asian art. You'll see Picasso. What's over my fireplace? Do you remember? The Rauschenberg, Robert Rauschenberg, whose stuff is from. I have Rauschenbergs from the 60s. Collected Peter Beard, who became a friend. You're familiar with Peter Beard?
I've heard the name, yes.
Yeah, Peter Beard was a photographer, and then he did collages with elements from the jungle, and he inspired a movie back to Africa, I think it was, with Meryl Streep, Hog Ranch. I got very involved. I'm involved to find out what the photographer, whether it's a photographer or an artist, is about themselves, you know, because they all have a certain vision. You know, Mr. Penn was a great still life photographer. Avedon was a great personality photographer. Peter Beard was a great wildlife photographer that incorporated things from the jungle. He has a great giraffe shot. And the reason I sold a lot of it is because I felt I was hoarding it. What I loved about it is I walk down the stairs and it don't talk back. It's not like going to a salon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
It talks to me creatively. Every day I see something else in it. So, but to really answer your question, I don't paint.
Oh, so you're not inspired to paint by your paintings? No, you just
No.
appreciate.
I'm inspired by the painter and
Yeah.
his vision for the paint.
Yes.
And I have to love it, and then I want to know why I love it.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, I have to understand the painter and what he was about to make him do that type of work. I've always been inspired that way. But as a colorist, I'm inspired by the work, the reinvention of every day.
Right.
You do work one day, you want to do it better the next day. The next day, Chris, what you do one day, you want to make it better the next day. You do the next day, you want to make it better the next day. It's a constant inspiring evolution within yourself from your own passion to be the best you could be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a wonderful closing sentence to students that are just leaving school, or to stylists who are still, we sometimes go for years where we're still like battling with ourselves as to what do we want to do next. So to just wake up every day and say, I want to be better today than I was yesterday at what I do is a great closing sentence. Don't you think so, Joseph?
I think, I do. I think it's a great sentence. I mean, this conversation can go on for 6 more hours. It's extremely interesting.
And then we have the tour of the house.
Yeah, we may have to do, there was a class.
Idea.
Oh.
So I'm out over the water. I don't know if you can see the water from there.
I do. Can you show me the guest room? Can you show me the guest room? I'd like to see where I would be staying and what that looks like while I take you to lunch.
But I could tell you, it's funny, real quick, before we end, I'll share with you, it's never been for me about the money, okay, or the things money can bring, okay. I'm very blessed, okay, but the bottom line is that what am I going to do with 10 bathrooms now? And I live here by myself. So what does the money get you?
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I get you. But you know what? Your smarts have gotten you to where you are now. And that is a true gift that you were born with. And I think that you have left a legacy in this industry of all the years that I've been in it, of 40. And I just commend you for what it is that you do. I'm fascinated. And I really feel that you aren't done yet, because, the word retirement is almost scary, I'm sure. I mean, I know it kind of is to me. I mean, I want to keep going as well. And I think that, yep, I think that you have a great history of knowledge and a great book to read. And I think that students will be inspired by many of the things that you said. And I commend you, young man, for the diversion, because like Chris said, it is really challenging. It is really hard. But you know what? I know certain people out there like the Wilsons that are creating a product that is going to not be, it's going to be direct sales, which I think from what I'm hearing, is probably going to be the new movement for the younger generation of stylists that are going to be coming in. So,
Our Bay did that. You know, our Bay passed away. He was a lovely person. He did that. It's very hard to do direct sales. You could do it. You know, the most important thing I think people out in the salons now, the booth renters should understand is, let's protect the client's investment and not use color safe shampoo that is not safe. That's clear shampoo. The second best thing is, when the client comes in with good color, especially solid colors, they're going to go out with better color because it's not all washed out and the dye doesn't grab in spots and everything like that. The ends are close to what the color is. I could give you a million theories here. That will be a whole thing in itself. But, you know, and I want to tell you something else we didn't touch on. Philanthropy, when you're fortunate enough to get in the position, okay, is such an important thing. And inclusiveness is such an important thing of everybody in the world, because everything matters, okay? Everything matters. People matter. And what I do now, a lot of time I've spent, you know, I'm involved with the Miami Heat. I'm a big basketball player, fan, you know, some famous people that you know their names. I'm involved with their foundations. I give out 100 bikes with my grandchildren in the city schools, and turkeys. We have a truck, we go around with turkeys, but stuff I could see, because a lot of stuff people do for publicity out there, you know, and they announce it and they do ads. I want to see, I want to feel it, touch it, do it, and participate in it. I want my children, my grandchildren doing it. So I think it's another important thing for young people to know. Give something back always.
always,
Always.
Leland, always. And, you know, again, this isn't about me, but Chris has been one of my biggest supporters, because I was so tired of parents not taking our industry serious, that when I opened up my academy 15 years ago, I was tired of it. I was tired of it. And I wanted the community to see that young baby hairdressers could get together, raise money, which we did at the time. And I created trimhunger.com, which has gone national. L'Oreal has been a believer. Chris has been involved, and it's both local and national. But you know what? What?
Joseph, where is it? What part of the country are you in?
I'm in the
Joseph.
Midwest. I'm in Wisconsin.
Okay.
So
Oh,
we raise a lot of money to feed people, and the hairdressers behind it. It's been very, very proud. And I know our friend Leslie, help me out, Chris. Leslie,
Leslie Marino
yes,
of
she,
L'Oreal.
one of my biggest compliments, and again, it's not about me, but she came up and said that someone had to do what I did to create this, so others could get involved to help other people with food. And I get what you're saying. I understand it. I'm there 100%. So I think that, in closing, Leland, you know, I would like you to pretend that you are written up in a time capsule, and 100 years from now, they're going to dig it up, right, on a beauty school parking lot ground, and they're going to be like, oh, look at this, it's got all these things in it. So here you're going to have Leland Hirsch. In just a few words, what do you want them to read about you that they will never forget?
wow.
I
Interesting
know.
question.
You got to talk about yourself now.
I'll never forget. That I cared about professionalism and wanted to take it to the highest level, into outer space and back, to find out what could be that is not and what should be that is not.
Absolutely beautiful. And Leland, would you please take a spaceship ride with me up into space? And could you and I do the very first color formula, color application up there? Would you do that with me?
Now you're one up on me. I haven't thought of that. Next time if we do another interview, let me see if I can make that happen.
Come on, Leland. Leland, we would rock the world, and we can even like take the spaceship and swing by and get Chris, and all three of us can go up, and we'll just do, you know, retouches and see what color does up there.
Yeah.
I have a bad answer for you. You're inspiring me now. So maybe I'll rethink the question. I'd like to be one of the first to highlight hair on the moon or in Mars or in Jupiter. Inspiring me now. See, that's why I have a hat that says this.
Yep, that's a really good tip. And the hardest thing to do is to listen. But it's when we do meet people that listen. Thank you, and it was such an honor to have you on Iconics. And when it comes out on the YouTube live channel, we will most certainly send you a copy. And in the meantime, just keep on being inspirational.
Yes, Leland. I want
to having me. Love you guys.
Listen, thank
you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
It was
you.
special.
You are
Thank you.
a huge inspiration, young man. Behave. Be cool. I'll be contacting you soon with what spacesuit size you got, okay?
You got it, Joseph.
All right,
Okay.
my friend.
And keep it, guys. It's inspiring.
And we'll send you a link to Andy's artwork.
Oh, yes, do that. I want to see it. Now you got me thinking.
Will do. Will do. Thank you so much.
Much love.
Okay.
Much love. Talk soon. Talk
See
soon.
you soon.
Yes.